everybody. Thanks for joining me. If you're, well, you can't be joining me because this is all private right now. I know. Look at my hair. You know what I did? You don't even want to know. I got up late. I got up early. Then I laid in bed. My heat's out in this house, which happens every other year when I want to turn on my heat. Thanks, Thomas and Grooms. Thanks, Lennox. A woman by herself, why don't you show me how to use this when you installed it? Show me everything about it, or don't you know? That's usually the case. But now I have a beautiful fire going. And the reason why I wanted to get on and show you a couple things is because I do a lot of things for myself that need to be done. Because I'm here by myself. So, let me get this pulled over there. There we go. So, I thought these are all things that, you know, especially I was thinking with a little Lucy here with me. Of course, she loves that fire, right? She loves it. Look at little Lucy. She gets, I think she's like a slow, I think she could really actually ignite like one of those frogs in burning water or in boiling water. So I really do try and keep her away from the fire. I've got her a little setup right in front of the fire so that she doesn't sit so close to the fire, because I do really believe she gets so hot. I mean, like, she gets so hot. So today I put my fingers through my hair and I was like, I'm getting on. I'm doing these things and I'm just getting on with my coffee. And most of you already know that when I get started with my stuff, I like to take a couple puffs. Because that gets me motivated and it also gets my mind engaged. So I'm going to let you look at the fire and I'm going to put a nice song on here for you. Let me see what I'm going to find. Okay, so this is what I usually do before I go to work. Do this rather quickly because it's cooling down out here. So I want to show you the cart that I have, okay? So there's my wonderful cart that I just love so much right there. And we're going to walk over to the wood pile, which you can see in the background here. There we go. And so we've been collecting, and this is mostly from trees that have been downed, right? So here we're talking about, you know, all right, Dr. Feravich, if you want us to get back to our hunter-gatherer days, then you need to show us a little bit how to do it all by yourself even. And so that's what I thought I wanted to do. So engagement. This is how we're engaged, and especially if you're saying get rid of our cell phones, etc., etc. What are we going to do? Believe me. It's like I said, I spent 5 minutes putting those circle lights in my eyeballs the other day. There's lots to do. So let me try and see what it looks like. You can see the whole pile there now. This is collections over the years, so it's really nice when my heater doesn't work for like every other year. It won't start up, and then I have to pay $150 for them to do some stupid little abracadabra thing over their, you know, whatever, you know, their heater gods. And then it works, and then it works. So, okay. So, but what I want to say about my cart here is that this was like about $160, and I think I got it. You can find it any place. You can see it's a gorilla cart, right? So you can find that at all kinds of places. And I really like it. The sides come down. It's not too big, because if I get crazy, I will, you know, fill it too big, and then I can't move it, right, if I get crazy with the wood. So I have to keep it a reasonable size, and then I remember, hey, there's only so much you could drag around here. So as we're doing this, we are always observing what's going on. Let's observe what's going on. And you know what I was observing? Check this out, crafters. Check it out. I know. I just had a couple women just, you know, faint, but not, you know, with that classy expression on it. Yeah, I know. Look what I picked up and 2 scoops on a scotch. Look at this. Look at that. Look at that. Look at all those pine cones I have in there. And look, oh my gosh, I missed the one that is right here next to the cart, right? So, all kinds of pine cones right here from my wonderful big Scotch pine is what these ones are from. So I'm collecting those, and because I have them in the house, if I do nothing else, I bought a whole bunch last year. They were at the end of the season. I don't have to buy them, and you know what I did with them? Or you know how they came? Of course, scented, right? Scented. Well, don't I have scented oils? Of course I have scented oils. What kind of crap person do you think I am? I have 1 million pine cones too, and now I have 2 million pine cones. I can't even help myself. I've always had somebody do lawns, so they've been probably running over out here and collecting them and then selling them likely back to me. I think I'm kidding you, I am not. Okay, so now I'm going to go over to the wood pile. I'm going to go put this on the stand, and then I'm going to, you can watch me prance over to the wood pile, and I'll probably be picking up a whole bunch of pine cones on the way. Or you could just stare at the wood pile. Whatever suits you. Let me see what we've got in the picture. Perfect, perfect. Okay, so I'll be right back, and we'll be collecting wood. All right, so hold on. I think I got all the rest on the way, because that's when I saw them, was when I was walking over here. So, it's, for me, this cart, for me, I like it better than a wheelbarrow. I kind of turn it to get it going in the right direction when I'm all done. It just makes sense. And I took some wood from the other side the other day. So now I'm going to take it from this side of the pile. Plus it's easier since I'm all set up right here. Okay? So that's all I'm doing. But trying to find the driest pieces of wood, I can't split the wood. So again, this was wood that was cut, but I'll get, you know, all kinds of sizes. It's also been good to have collected all of those branches back there, right? And in fact, see, here's where we built our fire pit. So I picked up all those sticks throughout the summertime and then put them in my handy dandy little cart there, and then came and built a fire a couple times. So if you're into a fire, it's awesome for your fire pit, right? But those branches are the ones that are going to burn. So when I'm all done getting my big logs, I'm going to get some of those branches there and add them, right? So I've got them to help me with my fire as well. So getting ready, right? Thinking about what you would do to get ready for your winter season. That's what we're doing, right? And, you know, you could also test how dry it is. If I could break this off, and I'm not that strong, right? I'm strong enough for sure relative to what most people are because I've been doing a lot of work, right? But I'm still not very strong. We can't be everything to everyone. I want to even out the weight a little bit too. Of course, right? These are easy projects to do. Loading this up with wood is easy peasy. But it doesn't mean it's 100% mindless. Speaking of mindless, talking about being mindful, right? I don't really take a lot of extra time out of my daily schedule in order to meditate. But, you know, meditation is only one form of mindfulness. This here is without a doubt a mindful opportunity, right? Being in the here and now would make this a mindful opportunity. And for young people, or anybody who has a difficult time meditating, as I do. However, I'm meditating on, you know, the here and now all the time, being in the present all the time. If I were in the future, I would worry a lot more, right? If I were in the past, for me, I might be nostalgic, right? I don't have my husband. And my kids I don't see very often either with all of this mess I told you. They're not safe. So here's another thing. So being mindful, right? I can know the wood So I know that this is from an evergreen tree. And evergreen trees are pine trees. And pine trees are soft wood. I know pine trees are soft wood. So these are things you can think about, you know, to be mindful. But for me, I was thinking, because the fire, how successful my fire is in the house, because right now my house is very cold. So it has to do with how long is my wood going to burn, and is it going to catch on fire? This is willow tree. This here, I'm going to break my leg because it's huge. Hold on. This here is from a willow tree. I would have to say it's soft wood, but honestly, it's so soft and so damp that it wouldn't burn. I had a hell of a time burning any of that. So here, that's the thing, right? If I don't want to have a frustrated project, as we were talking about in our classroom, I think on Thursday, right? Yeah, because we made fall balls. Yeah. If we don't want to have a frustrating project, then we need to be in the here and now to figure out what exactly is working for me and what isn't. Now I'm getting to some of the wood here. Look at how old this is, right? And how dry that is. So I know that's going to burn really well. And that's what I need, because this is a hard wood, but it's got a lot of holes, so that should burn really well. I'm going to put a couple more pieces. Remember, you have to be able to pull the wagon too. And we've got quite a bit of wood in here. You can see I really did fill up that cart. I'm going to do a little pine cone hunting for the video as well. Here's where they all are. Underneath what is the Scotch pine. Scotch pines have very long needles, like this. So that's our Scotch pine. It's one of the tallest, I've been told, in Commerce. Look at how tall that is. Hold on. Look at that. Hold on. Here I am. No, look at the, stop looking at me. Look at the Scotch, look at that. Stop it. And, you know, look at that. Look at that. Look at that view. How about that? I know. I know. Okay, so let's just take a peek at picking these up a little bit, right? I won't always probably be in the screen. A whole handful. I would like really to get the rest of them. I don't necessarily have to get them with you, but I really do kind of want to get the rest of them just because, you know, we buy these. There's so many things to do. Garland, you know, whatever. I don't even know. That's what I'm going to do next is I'm going to look it up on the internet. What can I do with all these pine cones? I don't know. You don't even have to spray these with some white spray paint to make them look festive for the holidays. Because look, they just naturally have that white coating on them, right? Let's see how many I got here. So early birds, let's see. Can you count them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 11 in 2 scoops. Or in 1 scoop. One time, 11. Now that keeps us engaged, but we haven't even done any planting yet. So that's what we also have to do, planting. Hold on. Let's get our logs up there, and I'm going to check on the fire too, okay? Right. So there are all kinds of things that you can think of to make your hunter-gatherer time just a little bit better for you, right? And so here I do have all of the wood piled up. But I did collect the wood, and I was telling you about one of the things about doing these kinds of things is that we really do have opportunities to get in the here and now, to be mindful. And being mindful means a whole lot more than mindful meditation. But it means picking out and paying attention to the right wood that I was going to get and where the driest wood was. And actually, to be perfectly honest, it was so boring. But the one thing that was interesting about this was that the prep, right? So we've been doing this and collecting this wood for a number of years. So where was the prep? But there in the background there is also what we built was our fire pit there. And you can see all of the branches that I have on top of the fire pit. So we've been collecting branches through the spring and summer when we have, you know, pretty windy days. I have to go through this beautiful lawn I have here, right there. And this is how I meditate. I meditate through the daily activities that I do. You may not feel that you have the strength to put together, you know, something like this. A big wood pile, that was pretty good. And the thing that happens is that you end up picking up the skills and the body and the strength by doing this. I had such bad knees, and nobody would ever say I was strong, including me. But what I did was, in all of this that I had to take care of for myself since my husband passed, it's not that you always know. I didn't know I would have to collect that wood for the day I was alone, right? And the heat didn't work. This is something that happens across all kinds of time, right? It doesn't happen just automatically that I go out and buy every single craft thing that I'll ever need and now it's all downstairs in my basement. That's not how it works, right? It works that we collect those things across time. I've got my tomato plants here, and I have so many tomatoes and I don't know why they've been out here for so long but not ripening. I mean, I can't even tell you how long these two have been here, and I'm not getting them ripe, and now they're getting cold, and they're probably not, it's going to be longer. Look at that. Look at this. Look at all of those wonderful tomatoes. So what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to bring these into the house. I'm going to bring those into the house and get them underneath my lamps because I have 3 lamps. So I'll get them underneath my lamps, and then I'll see what happens. Look at that. In the midst of all of this, how is that tree dying? We've had wonderful weather. How is that tree dying? Because people are killing them around here. Who, Annette, who, Dr. Feravich, who's killing them? Right-wing fascists that don't want to hear me speak, that are trying to take away my property. Oh, it's all a woman could do to survive all by herself. But, you know what? I'm telling you, I know everybody says if I could do it, you could do it too. But I promise you, 3 years ago, I really couldn't walk. I was thinking about life in a wheelchair because my knees were so bad. And when your knees are bad, you can't exercise. And when you can't exercise, you have no strength. And when your knees are bad, your back is bad, it means that you won't have any upper body strength either. So it was impossible to get my arms strengthened. It was impossible to have a nice looking back. It was impossible for me to have strength in my upper legs until I got my back straightened out. So again, I'm just saying, it's not easy. And I'm not that big, and I'm really not that strong. But this has made me stronger, right? And there's all the wood that I brought in. So I am going to then pile that up, because we did build a little wood holder here in the garage. I will say about a fire, though, people have to know is that, you know, when you even think back with hunter-gatherers, that keeping those fires alive was really a full-time job. I'm out here collecting wood for a fire that's probably out by now. And you saw the blazing fire that we had when we started this whole thing, right? Okay. My flowers came back after they killed them, right? Because really life does really want to regenerate. One of the things I remember when we lived in the city was that homeowners beware. And I just heard that again, and I forgot that this was a thing for people who rented, right? Especially people who lived in big cities who were almost forced to rent for the most part, right? Even if it was like a lifelong lease or whatever, they were still renting. They didn't, typically own the apartment building that they were renting, right? Typically they didn't own that. Homeowners were always, well, you're throwing money away. We always knew you don't own anything at the end of all this, and how could you just be burning that money? And city folks were like, homeowners beware. And I never believed that because I never really grasped the concept of criminal behavior. Really, honestly, it's true. And, right now, like I said, a bunch of people are hiding their identity from me. Well, I would never expect somebody to be hiding their identity from me. So why would I expect to identify somebody in a costume when I would never expect somebody to be hiding their identity from me? It's not brain surgery, right? Yeah, if you don't expect the criminal behavior because you have an honest heart, it doesn't make you stupid. We could read scripture. Scripture tells us who's stupid. All those big mouths don't believe in scripture anymore. They're the ones who lost their faith earliest because they thought they knew something. True that. Okay, so what am I going to do now? So this is what it's about. So I've had this mess that they keep making for me and making this impossible for me to keep up because they just are, homeowners beware, because there are a lot of people who will be criminal. And so what I decided to do is, for me, it's hard for me to keep it looking really nice all the time. I have rocks there. I want to keep the rocks there. It's drainage, so we don't want to put grass there. And I can't keep picking up those rocks. So the best thing I could do is I could keep it blown out, right? And I could keep it as clean as I can there. Right? I got a new leaf blower for $160. This one is an electric one. It's very powerful, but it only lasts for a half an hour. So I can't have a lot of work even though I have a big yard, right? I still don't have a lot of work. I love it. I just love it. For the price, it has amazing. I saw one for $350 that had that same power, but a much longer battery. I'll make do. I'll plug it back in after a half an hour, and it does die after a half an hour. It's not like it doesn't even work, like a minute longer. So these are azaleas, and again, just to demonstrate again, homeowners beware. So the people who are doing my lawn, and now my lawn looks better than it ever has. So we're killing my plants too. 4 out of 5 survived. This one almost didn't survive. The other one that they sprayed, so they do it haphazardly. They won't kill all your plants. But here's the thing about it. Why would 2 die in between the other 3, right? It just doesn't make any sense, except for homeowners beware, right? Homeowners beware, because most of these contractors that are doing anything out here, whether it be for your heating and cooling, whether it be for your plumbing, whether it be for resurfacing your driveway, installing fences, rewiring your electricity, putting in your dock, you name it, they'll fuck you. And not in that really good way either. So one plant died. What I've done here is lined up my plants where I want them, okay? And that's what I think that you need to do. All right, so that's what we're doing. I need to go get more supplies. I'll be right back. Okay, so what are the supplies that I wanted to get? So I got a small shovel and a small, whatever you call it, rake, right? I got the small shovel and a small rake, and I have the big shovel. Now I'll show you. I made sure, I didn't make sure, but I'm happy that it rained so that, and now I'm like, all right, I'm going to get out here now because the ground is going to be a lot softer. It's very hard for me to put this shovel in the ground. And be careful with the shovel, honest to God. Be careful with the shovel Face up. You will be like a cartoon and have that thing. If you accidentally step on it, you really will have a welt right there. I've seen it done. Do not leave the shovels and rakes, you know, rake end up, shovel end up. Put them down. Notice some of them are a little bit lower. I don't care. I put them down a little bit so I have less work to do between the plant and that back there, right? I want the least amount of work, so I don't want grass or whatever in between my plants. So you kind of think these things out, but you don't spend 3 days. I had those, although I did have those plants. I've had those plants since June, and it's October. And now I'm planting them. But so what? I just figured out where I want them, and I'm so happy. Sometimes it doesn't come to me, right? Sometimes it doesn't come to me right away, and obviously sometimes it takes a longer time. But those will come back next year, so nobody cares. And plus on top of that, they practically wrecked them because they never produced flowers because those assholes have been spraying things like that tree I showed you up there, right? My tree. And then these plants here. Never produced a flower. My corn, as soon as I planted it outside, dead. Who's doing it? Right-wing fascists who are family members. That's who's doing it. That's what I said that didn't get recorded. Okay, I'm going to start on this end. Now, like I said, I'm not that strong, but I have, oops, you couldn't see me. Stuart has always put the holes in the ground for me. This is hard for me. But I have done it for some of the plants, so I'm trying it with you right now. First time on these plants, I'm trying it with you. Now the hardest thing to get through is the grass. Honestly, that first layer of grass is really hard to get through. The ground is really actually pretty, it's pretty soft. Yeah, what's the opposite of hard? I forgot. What? Soft? Yeah. Now the shovel is bent here just for your foot. I get it in as far as I can go, and then I pull up on the shovel. That gets the grass out. Now honestly, be careful not to lose your balance. I very easily lose my balance. All right, so that's the reason why I brought these other utensils. I just can't, with all that shovel, it's hard for me to manage. Okay, so a couple things to note is this. Get up and down safely. That's the best way I can do it. But also, you want to get down as far as, you know, as deep as the pot is, right? So it sinks down in there. And you want to kind of feel pretty confident that it's going to sink down in there as well. You don't want to, you know, constantly have to dig a little more. It's just, that ends up being like a headache. So I get down as far as I can with the little shovel. And then what I do is I'm going to get the bigger shovel again and try and get down just a little bit further because I'm not quite down as far as I need to be, for, you know, to set that in there. The end of that shovel is really, really sharp. It is, especially when you first buy it. I mean, you could literally do that and you could literally cut off somebody's foot with a shovel. So you have to be careful with the shovel. Keep it away from you, but it's the bigger shovel that really digs that dirt up. And you could hear, you know, it is a workout. That's plant number 1. I'm pretty sure I'm deep enough for that plant, but it's still only plant number 1. Let's take a look. I'm going to get the rest of the dirt out of there. Then we'll see how far that plant goes down into it. Okay? I really have a hard time getting up and down, so my bending over is not the most attractive thing. Now, you can see that's a little high out of the ground, a little bit. But I'll be able to make it work. I'll be digging a little bit more. Plus, on top of that, you know, it'll be the soil and not the pot, so it will sink in better than that. Okay, I'm ready to do the next one, and I'm going to go down the line and do these. Okay, so remember what I said, that, you know, it helps to take your little breaks, whatever those little breaks are. So for me, if I can get this lit, I'll take my little break, but here I also brought my coffee. So I have 5 of these azalea plants to do, right? 1 down. And then I make sure that I'm still enjoying the task. And I am. Despite Nosy Rosie's coming over here. And, you know, I didn't tell you. You know what they did? They killed all of my black-eyed Susans. Go back and look at all those black-eyed Susans that I have there. They killed every one of them. But miraculously, no other plants around there died. So what I'm saying is it can't be the weather. That's what I'm saying. I want to show you as I'm enjoying what else I enjoyed. But look at that, just loads and loads of these beautiful little tiny pine cones. So this really, again, being in the here and now, right? Being in the here, look at that. Look at those. They're so cute. I don't like to sit and take too long because this really then takes effect, right? And then maybe I won't feel like doing it. But the magic for me is that after a short time, I want to get back to work. I don't know what they're talking about. Marijuana, this gateway drug that makes you sit on the couch and want to do nothing. I think it's something else about you. Maybe you normally don't want to do anything. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on and edit. Let me show you another piece of equipment that I have. Now remember, you don't go out, I didn't go out and buy all of these pieces of equipment all at one time, but I will tell you how to save your time and go ahead and get these big shears. I think no matter what kind of yard work you're doing, you want these great big giant lopping shears, what these are called, lopping shears. Now could get this adjusted a little bit and clean it up a little bit more, and it would work way better. It only costs $8 to sharpen, probably. I don't even think it's $8 to sharpen scissors. I did buy these, right? So maybe you're like, oh, I have a small yard. This does nothing. I have found this. I'm going to see. I'm going to go over there and we'll see what it does. But the biggest problem is if anything, no matter what, even if this can do something, if anything is thicker than my pinky, you're going to need something like this. Even the electric hedge trimmers, yeah, forget about it. I don't know how those could trim hedges. It could trim grass, and that's why I have that. But watch, I don't even think I can trim grass with this. Okay, it trims grass pretty well. So, if that's how you want to trim grass, this actually will trim grass pretty well, okay? So, these shears on camera made a liar out of me. Nevertheless, I have bigger things to chop, so. Here, these are grasses, and they're coming up, so I'm gonna leave those alone. Now that right there is what gets your heart rate up. I don't know why I have that camera so far away. All right, so like I said, what takes the greatest amount of effort is with the big shovel, right? And getting that in there as deep as you can. But I can't do it with the small shovel get that deep. And if you just keep hitting the area with the shovel, you're going to loosen up that dirt anyway. Even if you're not perfect around the edges where you need to be, you're going to loosen up that dirt by hitting the shovel. But it gets those arms going and that upper body workout, which means you're breathing deeper, right? So try and remember to do that too. Try and remember to breathe deeply. Not every breath needs to be deep, otherwise you would hyperventilate, right? I talked with you for a minute. That gave me enough of a break to catch my breath. I got this from Menards, and it's their fall coffee package of 12 ounces, 12 packages of unbelievable autumn coffee. This one is pecan pie. Next! I didn't put my gloves on either. And if you don't really want calluses on your hand, if you don't really want man hands, which I do because I work out and you can see the sap on my hands from the pine cones there. But if you don't want to have man hands, and I don't, gloves. Gives you excuses to get a breath as well. So, you know, when you have a small timeline to get a project like this done, expect headaches. Now, I've stretched this out already, so I'm gonna try and get all the plants planted today, just because I feel like it. I was gonna do 3, and then I'm like, I think I could do the other 2, and I want to get them done. But normally I would spread it out even more than that, is what I would do. Spread it out across the day a lot more, or spread it out across days, right? But I'm getting it done, and I'm happy I'm getting it done. If I were unhappy, I'd call it a day. Now right now, I'm just digging the holes and loosening up the dirt. So then I'll get the rest of it with the smaller shovel. Woo! Remember, your breaks in between may need to be longer, because as you've done more, even though you're like, okay, I'm ready to do the next one, you'll get out of breath faster, right? Now that one was a lot easier. And I could fight with this big shovel to get the loose dirt out, but I'm better with the small shovel and my hands getting the rest of that dirt out, right? So, where's my small shovel? But of course, they just had to be where I left them, right there by the first plant. Okay. I try and get the hole deep enough with the shovel, with the big shovel, the dirt loosened deep enough, and then I even out the sides with the bottom, and usually that's enough. So that should be enough. I probably will have to go a little bit deeper with each one of these when I go to put the plant in. because dirt tends to fall back in. So I just want to make sure that when we get rain, I don't have roots showing, right? A lot of times you'll have problems finding roots there and try to work around the roots. You know, it's just, you could use this big scissors like I have, right? Or, as I said, it gets your heart rate going and it gives you some good upper body strength using this shovel. Now, if you're going to run out of energy long before the project is done, conserve your energy. But I still have energy, so I'm okay. You wouldn't know it, though, by this hole because I didn't get very deep. That one was much more work because there's rocks there. The big kind of scraping sounds were the roots I was chopping. Whew, that had a lot of rock and clay in it. Not a lot of clay, but I don't know, it was hard. That's what she said. I forgot that I had this claw, and it really does work really well. I think you can see. I should move that down. Okay, last one to dig deep. Okay, what I wanted to show you is this. This is clay. If you didn't know what it looked like from the ground. So there is clay down there, see? And it looks just like clay. When you break it up, it looks like dog shit, of course, but no. I mean, seriously, that is what is down there below the surface, so you know it's not dog shit, because it's a whole layer there, although, make sure that dog shit's not on my computer. But yeah, that's what clay looks like. When they say there's clay in the ground, maybe it's just a really big layer of dog shit. Who even knows? I don't even know. Hard to get through, and you could see it along all the sides, and what it does is it forms into rock. Eventually that forms into rock, right? Okay. So that one looks quite a bit far off, but again, it's mostly from the canister. But look, see all those rocks? And actually, you could see in the midst there, they're clay. And some of these rocks, you might be able to even break right in half, you know, depending on how hard the clay is formed. So, now you know something about clay and rocks. Okay, so now I'll be right back. I'm going to go get something else. Okay, what I have here that I'm bringing here is the water from my dehumidifier. This is probably 2 gallons of water. So it's a rather big dehumidifier. Dehumidifiers take water out of the air. That takes about a half an hour to fill. I have it in my garage right now. I have it next to the wood so that my wood dries out, right? But I've got to keep this, I've got to keep that emptied. And I knew I was going to be planting these trees, so that was my plan, was to empty it with the planting of these trees. So that's the next thing I'm going to do is get the roots wet with the dehumidifier water. I'll get the roots wet and then I'll put the trees in, okay? Let me tell you something that I have. My hands, my wrists itch. When you get poked with anything, it's going to end up, your skin's going to react to it and you're going to itch. It's a reaction. It's not going to kill you, right? Unless you're, you know, sticking a pine branch down your throat, you're probably okay, right? But anywhere I get a scratch, when I'm working out and gardening and things, anywhere I get a scratch, it itches, and that's just part of the healing process is all. Ice cold, still delish. The main thing I want to do right now, as I'm thinking about it, is really get the roots wet to those plants, is what I want to do. I know I have enough water to do that in this. So that's what I'm going to do first. I'm going to get all the roots wet. That was the last one. I was out of the scene. Okay, so I have about, looks like only about a quarter of this left. That's about it. So I might need some more water because I like them to, on the first day that they're planted, it shocks them, right? Hopefully not too much. They've stayed in their container, so they're okay. But we'll be taking them out and putting them right in the water, in the earth. So they shouldn't be too shocked, right? If you treat them gently and then give them water, they're gonna love you forever. Okay, so I'm rolling the plant in its planter there to loosen it up from the sides. Now that this is moist, it should loosen up pretty easily. Grab it down by the base and loosen it up again. Get the dirt pressed in all around it as best you can. Number 3. Woo! Time for me to take a small break. No, actually I'm not. I'm going to wait till I'm done. Here's another time where you can get something else in. And that's stretching. Especially getting up and down like this is really hurting me. Oh, and do some stretches. And when your muscles and your body's all warmed up, it's a lot easier to do those stretches. I mean, it's a lot easier. Look at how far down I can go. Because my body's all warmed up. Last 2. We'll see if we can't get them done before my battery dies. Chop, chop. Okay, let's take a look at it. What do you think? So number 1. Am I in the picture? Oh, here I am. Number 2. Number 3. This is the one that had a hard time, but it's okay. It really came back. I was really happy. These are azaleas. Number 4 and number 5. I really think that they're spaced out really well. So you could see there now. Look at there they are. Aren't they awesome? Don't you just love it? I do. And all right, so that is our fall planting. So thanks for joining me. This is Dr. Annette Feravich. We'll talk more on Tuesday.